Ooh, greetings friends and welcome to Let's Make a 2D Arcade Fighter Part 2. So before we get into the content of this video, I just want to respond to a comment that I got earlier from Big Babby Bob 2, who suggested that when I actually have my crouch animation, I must actually go into the crouch animation, scope out, and go and change the position of the collision shape. Because when you crouch, although you've got yourself the animation, your collision shape is still in the original position. So you've actually got to change the vertical position to something a bit lower, so that otherwise attacks will still hit you even though you crouch down. So thank you so much for that comment, and I really enjoy it when people give their feedback, and then we can make this game and all our games better and better. Thank you so much. Woohoo! Alrighty friends, then let's get onto it. The first thing we're going to do in this video is give ourselves a nice punch. So the way we're going to do that is we're actually going to make ourselves a nice brand new fresh out of the box microchip. So that's in logic and processing. I'm going to call this light punch. So generally in arcade games like Street Fighter, you'll have kind of like 3 levels of punch, like light, medium, heavy, or low, middle, high, that sort of stuff. But light punch, which is usually square, is kind of just like a quick one that does the least amount of damage but is also the fastest. Alrighty, so here we have our light punch. Now we're going to do ourselves a young animation for it. Sorry, we're going to choose that. We're going to go into animate and choose a timeline, not a keyframe. There will be keyframes within our timeline, as you can see. And that one's just going to be the default one, which is kind of like the resting pose. We're going to reduce this in size. It's pretty short, even 1 second is quite slow for a punch, because this is kind of just like a jab. For the boxing fans out there, the jab is the punch with your the most forward hand. So it's just like doop. So we're going to scope into here and we're just going to go whoop, ba-bam, cha. Alrighty, and then we're going to create a transition and clone the first one over here, and then create not a transition but a blend, sorry. So let's see what it looks like. Cha-cha. That's cool, but generally we want the punches to have a bit more of a snap, so you make it a little bit shorter on this side. It's going to go bam. Okay, that's cool, but even that is quite long, so we're going to make it half that size or half that length, and it's going to go bam. Maybe even shorter still. Cha cha. So it's a real snappy punch. Cha. Perfect. So this is going to be triggered now with square. So this really is the simplest thing. So now let's give it a try. I press square. Cha cha cha. But if I just tap it and I don't quite do it fully, it might not complete. So what you'll want to do there is make its playback mode once. And that way, whether you tap it or hold it down or whatever you do, it's going to just do it once. Alrighty. Now the next thing we're going to want to do is basically save ourselves some effort in the future videos by creating ourselves a little tag. And this tag is going to represent the area on the body that our punch hits. So we're going to go into Gadgets, Sensors and Input, and then Tag. So just for future reference, the 3 areas that I'm going to be referring to in the body are going to be head, body, and legs. So these will be the 3 areas that you can hit. This punch is quite high, so it's going to be head. And when we do our hit reactions video, it's going to be that when I do the punch, it's going to sense that the tag here, which is going to be called head, or hit head, whichever you prefer, is going to cause them to do like a little oof, the head's going to move back. So I'm going to call this hit head. So that's going to be the hit head tag. You're going to line it up at the exact moment that the punch hits your opponent's head in the animation, So let's just reduce the size of this so that it's just at this time. So if we go here, this is when the punch is there. Okay, cool. Make sure this is still selected. Then go on to hit head, press L1 and square, and you'll see you've got this little white bauble. Now you'll want to align that with the hand itself, so that where the punch is, where the particular punch is, that's where our person is going to be punching. Alrighty, so now we've got the hit head. You can also be doing things like, let's just go to move as an output. You can do things like a force applier and have a little teeny weeny weak force applier. And this just makes it so that when you punch them, I mean, you don't actually have to have this. You can have a force applier that just moves them back a little bit, but in future you would kind of just have it here at the moment of impact and would push them back a little. Otherwise you can just forego that completely and wait for our hit reactions video, in which we're going to actually animate our puppets like getting hits and getting knocked back. But you will want to add a health modifier, and you shall reduce this quite nicely so it's also just there. Alrighty, you're going to make this in a zone. Now this is an essential element for all arcade fighters, and a lot of games actually, and this is the concept of the hitbox, which is the area in which your damage is dealt. So when you've got this punch, you'll do it like this. Alrighty, cha-cha-ching. But you're not going to worry about labels for now, because we'll do more work on that when we add in 2-player mode and that sort of stuff. But you'll want to sort of do it in such a way that it's a little bit behind as well. Not too far forward, because you don't want to be hitting them when they're like, 2 meters away from you. But if you're too close to them and you punch, you still want them to be hurt if they're in this sort of a region. It may not make sense now, but just trust me, you make the box a little bit backwards. If we want to make sure that we don't hurt ourselves, the one thing we're going to do with tag is we're going to call our blank puppet friend, and we're going to make it so that this health modifier does not deal damage to friend, those with the label friend. Alrighty, so there we have our very basic punch. We can adjust the damage. Don't make the rookie error that we all make of changing this value and making it positive by mistake, because if you're like, oh, I want to make it 10 damage, but of course this is a positive value, so it's going to heal your enemy, because the health modifier is a healer and a hurter. So if you want to make it -10, then you make it -10. That's going to deal 10 damage. Alrighty. Okay, cool friends, so that's all there is to making a basic punch. Cha, cha, cha. Alrighty, and now the next thing we want to do is take our simple light punch and turn it into a combo attack. Alrighty, so what we're going to do for this is go into our gadgets and choose ourselves, go into logic and processing, and choose ourselves a selector. Alrighty, then we're going to delete this connection between square and the old light punch, and we can rename this timeline LP, which stands for light punch, LP1, and this will be our first punch. We're going to connect this to output B. Okay, cool. Then we're going to take square again, and we're going to connect it to move to next output. So let's just see if this works at the minute. So by default we're on output A, which is nothing, but when we press square, it's going to go there. Alrighty. So when we press square, it goes to B, and of course B is light punch 1. Now let's make ourselves light punch number 2. So we're going to make ourselves a new one. I'm just going to copy this one, that's our original one, and I'm going to change this keyframe. So I'm going to actually just delete it and make us a new one. The original ones on the front and on the end can stay, because they're just like blank keyframes that are just the resting position. And we're going to say, when we press square again, the second punch is going to be in boxing terms would be a straight, is a punch from the hand that is further away, and that'll return as well. Sasha. So let's just check it out. Cha. We might want to make it a little bit higher, because this is going to be meant to be at head height. Let's go cha. So let's see. Cha. We might also want to make it take a little bit longer, because at the moment it's like 1/4 of a second. Cha. You adjust these things as you see fit. Remember to change the position of the tag and the damage modifier. Alrighty, So you line those up here, and then make sure that you line it up with where the punch is. So there's quite a few things that go into it, as you can see. And of course the health modifier is going to have to change as well. Ooh, because this is 2D, you can potentially make things like infinitely long on the Z axis. But you know what I mean? Like they can be super long on the Z axis, but that's really up to you. Okay, cool. And just one more thing for the health modifier, you're leaving it at per hit as opposed to continuous. Otherwise you'll do a punch and it'll, because it's only going to be doing it for like the splittest of split seconds, it's not actually going to deal damage if you put it on continuous. So it's going to be per hit or per time that they enter into the trigger zone. Alrighty. Then we're going to connect this to, if we chill here a bit, we're going to see that we can increase the number of ports. We go into the tweak menu. I'm going to connect this to C. Alrighty. Then we're also going to add in a little timer for ourselves. And the timer-rooney is going to be for a very short time, let's say 0.5 seconds. And that's going to be triggered when we get to C. And then when this is done, it's going to return us to A. So this basically means when you do a punch, you have time to, I'm actually going to make one for B as well. So when you do it, you have time to do the punch, after which it's going to return to A, after a time of 0.5 seconds. So let's see if it works. Oh, I just want to quickly change this to LP2 or Light Punch 2 so that we can distinguish between them. Alrighty. So if I press square once, it's going to do it. If I wait a few seconds and I press square again, it's going to do our first punch. If I do it 2 times, we do our 2 punches. Cha-cha! Take this, knave! Looks pretty good, actually. A little bit stiff, but not bad at all. Alrighty, but what punch combo is complete without a third punch, I ask you? It's simple enough to do just a nice easy 2-punch combo, but I think we will be extra and we'll do a nice 3-puncher. Alrighty. So we're going to call this one LP3. And our third punch is going to be a funky one. So I'm just going to delete this. Remember, if you want to make punches stronger or anything like that, you're like the third punch, because it's the last one in the line, is going to do more damage. You'll just go to your health modifier and increase the amount, or decrease it technically. So you'll make it like -15 or something like that. I think this one will be a little bit slower as well. And I'm thinking for this one, this will be like a hook. All my limited boxing knowledge is coming out now. And this one is going to be slightly different in that it's going to have a bit of a swing back, you know what I mean? So that goes there, cha-cha-cha. Then it's going to go bam. So it's like a little bit of a hook there. All right, so let's see what it looks like. Ha-chow. Okay, cool. Not the most impressive Street Fighter-esque punch I've ever seen, if I'm honest, but it does the job for now. And if it helps you figure out how to make your own like super cool, amazing ones, then that works for me just fine. You want to align it pretty nicely so that it's kind of in the center of the fist or at the tip of the fist. And then, of course, change the health modifier range. Oh, it's actually pretty good there. Pretty good there. You can just have it so that the bauble is at the center. Alrighty tighty. Okay, sweet. So now what we're going to do is test if this is going to work. So we're just going to go to number D. Then once we've gone to D, we're going to connect this to our LP3, which of course stands for Light Punch number 3. Then, just as before, what we're going to do is we're going to take our little timer-rooney, this 0.5 second timer, and we're going to connect it to, it's connected to B, C, and now D. And of course, when the timer finishes, it's going to connect to A, or take us back to the original. Now let's see what happens. If we press it once and we wait a little bit, we press it again, it'll do our first punch. If we press it twice, cha-cha. And we wait a little bit, it'll do our first punch. If we do it 3 times, cha-cha-cha, hua, cha-cha-cha. Ooh, that animation is terrible. It's actually so bad, I need to go back and change it. Okay, let's see. But otherwise, it's looking pretty good, friends. It's so lame, guys, don't you feel? I'm just going to increase the length of it I cannot in good conscience leave my game with such a terribly lame, whoops, is that right? Terribly lame animation. It'll sort of like, there'll be a punch that like goes to the side, you know what I mean? So let's see now. Cha! Oh, that's a lot better. Okay, cool. But this will still be the sort of hit point. Bang! And then it goes around and comes back. Okay, that's a lot better looking. Sorry friends, that was just a aesthetic feel. So now we go 1, 2, 3. Cha 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 cha. And you see it's quite a bit slower. Cha 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 cha. Alrighty friends, that's all there is to adding in a punch and adding in a combo. So here we have our light punch. Let's just go over it again. We've got our selector. Pressing the square button moves it along the selector. So we've got A, B, C, D. Our A position is going to be nothing happening, so no punch there. Then as we increase, it'll be light punch 1, light punch 2, light punch 3. All of these timers are in place so that you have to press the button within a certain amount of time. Otherwise, it'll just reset. And when you punch, it'll just take you back to the beginning. So there you are, friends. That's how you add in a punch and how you add in a punch combo. Alrighty, friends. If that's good enough for you, that's good enough for me. But I have, in the meantime, added in a medium punch and a heavy punch. And the way that these work, it works very much the same as before, except that it's just a little bit funkier. So here we've got Hua, then we've got our punch over there. We've got our health modifier. We've got our tag. I'm just going to line this up with the hand nicely. Shwa, shwa, shwang. So remember, friends, these key elements to any punch you have. You can, of course, have any animation that you want. I made the medium punch a little bit longer. It takes a little bit longer than the light punch, but it also does a little bit more damage. Remember that for each punch and for each new move that you add, you must adjust the placement of the health modifier and potentially the damage, and also the position of the tag. Don't forget about the tag. That's very important. Next, I've also added in a heavy punch, which we can see over here. Hurrah! It's like a nice gut punch. And this one, what's different about this one is that it's hitting not head, but it's going to have a hit body tag. Because as you can see, it's quite a bit lower. Now, when you've got the hit body tag, it's also important, as with all tags, to move it to the position that matches where the particular punch is. So there we are. You can add it to the sort of the tip of the hand there. And there you are, friends. In terms of just a few tweaks, what I'm going to want to add is, if we just have a playthrough, we must of course remember to connect these to a button. So I think if we're keeping with the tradition of the games like Street Fighter, I'm going to connect it to triangle for the medium punch, and then I think I shall connect it to R1 for the heavy punch. So that's like square, triangle, and R1. Those are the, it kind of mimics the old school arcade style where you'd have 3 buttons on top and 3 buttons below. So there you are, friends. Alrighty. So now that these are all connected, you can connect it to the power port, or you can, of course, connect it to the power of the timeline itself. It really depends on you. It's much of a muchness at this point. The reason why we don't connect it to the power point for the light punch is just because it connects directly to the selector. Alrighty, but if you want to be consistent, that is cool. Alrighty, so let's have a quick test. So we've got our various punches, triangle, R1, all this goodness. Okay, cool. But one thing is that we can actually keep moving while we do our punches. And generally, the tradition is that you'll actually be staying still when you do a punch. So you move, and then when you do a punch, you sort of stand still. So what I'm going to do here is just add in another keyframe. And for this one, whoopsie, I'm going to make sure I'm recording. I'm going to go into our puppet. I'm going to go to their overall movement, where we start actually, and set their walk speed to 0. Then I'm going to make it the keyframe about 75% or like 80% of the length of the particular punch. So it's like you'll do the punch, and then as you're coming back again, you can start moving again. I'm going to name this keyframe Immobilize. Immobilize. You might spell this with a Z, but I'm South African, so just a shout out there. I do it with an S. Alrighty, so there we're going to go. And we're going to put it over here. We're going to put this on all of our punches. We're just copy pasting it and adjusting it so that the length is about 75 to 80% of it. So it's as you're doing your return to your resting keyframe, that's when it'll deactivate. Doesn't have to be exact, depends on you. You also don't have to have this at all, friends. You can do whatever works for you in your game. We've got it in our light punches, our medium punch, and now our heavy punch. So when we move around, and then we punch, cha 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 cha, we stop moving, and we triangle, and we do our heavy, hoo cha. So there you are, friends. That's all there is. That's all that you've got to do to give yourself a light punch combo, swing, with just a combination of selectors, timelines, and timers. And remember on your timelines to set them to once. And then I think for the sake of neatness, we're going to just put all of these in one single microchip, which I dub the punches. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to put all of my keyframe, not copy them, but actually move them and put them into my punches folder. Alrighty, friends, that's all there is to it. In order to get our nice punches going, that is all you have to do. Stick around for our next video where we're going to be going over how to do some kicks. And it's going to be pretty much the same, but we're going to add in a different tag, which is going to be hit body with our heavy kick, and then hit legs with our light and medium kicks. So look forward to that. Thank you for sticking around with me for this video, and if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Otherwise, friends, I hope you have a lovely day, and I shall see you in future videos. Can't wait to see what you make. Catch you on the flip-flop, friends. Peace out.